Hi everyone, my name is Adrian Cervelieri. I'm technology strategist here at Microsoft for manufacturing. And with me is Dave Pokraka, account director for manufacturing DACH at SoftServe. Dave,
nice to meet you.
Glad to have you here. So let's jump directly into, could you introduce yourself quickly, a little bit your background, and then give a brief overview of SoftServe and what you do?
Sure. My name is Dave Pokraka. I started my career in '93 selling into the manufacturing market. It was actually Siemens products, and have worked basically my way up from shop floor automation through MES and now into higher level innovation type products. I've been with SoftServe now since the beginning of this year, and it's interesting because my journey to SoftServe starts with pretty much the same journey I think many companies have with SoftServe. This is one of the largest companies you've probably never heard of. We're 12,000 individuals. We're located in the innovation part in professional services. Mm-hmm. I needed a high-level partner to sell an Omniverse or to pitch an Omniverse solution set, and a year later I was with the company. A little bit about SoftServe. We're about 31 years old. Was established from a professor and some of his students from Ukraine. So that was pretty much the DNA from the company from the get-go, was to work in high-level innovation. And the first customer, interestingly enough, was the United States, which again is part of our DNA. We do about 50% of our revenue in the United States. We do 50% of our revenue roughly in Europe, and we're starting to grow in the Middle East. We're known as a nearshore support service with East European and then South America to support some of the North American marketplaces. We are known as a challenger in the Gartner corner for custom software development, which is for a 12,000 company firm, an extreme honor. We are an elite partner with NVIDIA. Last year we won the Innovative Partner of the Year, and this year, right before the HMI, we were blessed with the Consultant Partner of the Year for EMEA.
Amazing, thanks a lot. So you mentioned it, not everyone probably has heard about SoftServe. So how do you differentiate yourself against the competition, right? What makes you unique? You mentioned some parts, but maybe you can elaborate a little bit more, why SoftServe? Why should they choose you?
You have to look a little bit on and I'll be presenting this afternoon, you have to look a little bit on our approach to the market. If you take a look at the pyramid, we're not really into the high level, Boston Consulting, McKinsey, even though we partner quite well with these companies, we're not into that level. We come in with a very strong digital advisory approach, meaning, and again, reference to the presentation this afternoon, my first slide, and it doesn't matter if I am discussing this with an automotive, a discrete, or a process company, my first slide is literally Omniverse is not a tool. It is, NVIDIA says it themselves, it's a fabric that can be utilized. So please, let's take a step back and talk about what your problem is today. So we start off with a very strong digital advisory, and we work them through. So the first part of our approach is you're going to see almost in any presentation, we're going to reiterate the problem statement. What that enables us to do is, and this is another thing I'm very proud of, it's one of the reasons I came to the company, our net promoter score is 84. You have to realize in this industry, 41 is the average, and some of my competition is under 5. There's a lot of reasons why that is. I'd be more than happy to delve into it. It's a little bit of our culture, but it comes right down to we hire individuals that want to work in innovation, which is why at the bottom end of that period, staff augmentation we don't do, because we're going to bore those individuals that want to get on that next innovation and the next project. 30 years ago, we did sell an innovation to GE in the United States, which basically established the company. That innovation doesn't exist anymore. That's normal. That's staff augmentation. 15 years ago, same situation. We were probably doing move to cloud or start to cloud, probably Exchange server migrations and so forth. That was innovation. At some point, that goes mainstream. We move on. So the key to our success is not only the net promoter score, we also have an ENPS. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called employee net promoter scores. It goes from about minus 100 to 100. If you're at 10 to 50, you're pretty good. If you're at 50 to 70, you're excellent. We're sitting at 80. We're sitting at 72. So we're keeping our individuals happy. They're delivering quality. So it turns into a little bit of a circular life cycle. That's one of the reasons I came to this company, because it's in a nice position. It's very difficult to sell innovation. Let's be honest. Innovation can go south in so many ways.
Exactly, and that's a good segue, right? So how do you How do you manage innovation? How do you make sure you always stay on top with the latest technologies right now? You know, we have AI, we have the Meta, Omniverse, all these kind of topics. How do you make sure you also find the right people that are willing to stay on top of these topics? What's the approach there for SoftServe?
Well, first of all, there's obviously an invest. 2% of our EBIT does go into research and development. It's one of the main legs of the company. It sits right next to critical services, cloud foundation movements, sits right next to our intelligent services, data, Omniverse, and so forth. So it literally has a same standing as our delivery. We have our own university in Lviv, Ukraine. And we've trained many people on Omniverse. We do courses. Interestingly enough, I just met an individual from Ukraine, came right up, introduced himself, and said, "I learned at your university." And he was very proud, and you see that. So it's not only the invest, it's also we're training that next generation, which is our mantra. We want to define and generate the next level of technologists, not only for ourselves, but for the world. So it's a little bit of one, invest, two, learn, and the third step is very interesting. And this is something I learned as I came into the company. When we set up to sell an Omniverse, we set up kind of a statement of works, meaning we try to drill down to a market and drill down to a solution, meaning if I have a robotics opportunity, it's just not a robotics opportunity. We break it up, and we keep breaking it up into so-called work packets. So at some point, we can say, okay, we're in this work package, and off a click, I can have these databases set up. Again, on a click, I can have an Azure database set up and ready to go. That's something that a customer likes to hear because that translates into an accelerator. That's the same thing a data scientist wants to hear. So we're utilizing really the same thing. We're being excellent on a customer basis. We're using that to get better individuals into our company because a data scientist has probably gone through the last 7 or 8 years in a university where he wasted time setting up databases. He's wasted time setting up infrastructure. These individuals don't want to do that. They want to start working. So really, it's pretty much the same in a life cycle approach. It's the same benefit. The customer benefit is the benefit that allows us to get good people, and then we feed them with good projects.
Talking about projects and also your customers. So how do you convince them, or how do you show the value of the Omniverse? How do you show the value of such a case that they should start investing and moving into this direction? Do you have some approach for that, how you tackle this one?
I made reference to it before. We see Omniverse as a wonderful fabric, and it is our go-to fabric these days when it comes to Gen AI because there's so much you can do inside that fabric once the infrastructure is set up. But again, it is only a fabric, it is not a solution. So we will always be taking a step back. And what we're seeing in the Gen AI world is it's getting very market specific. These LLMs are going to lose that first L probably within the next 5 to 6 years. This largeness, this monocentric has to go away. It's just too expensive. And the technology field just doesn't allow that to happen. That one gigantic beast controls the market. It's just not, the technology just doesn't allow that. There's all kinds of other enabling factors, levers, why that's taking place. So we come in and we start talking about accelerators, basically use cases, and we try to work down that path of which use case works best for you. So we really start with what do we want to achieve today? One of the greatest compliments we received from one of our clients was, if we would not have been able to simulate this new business model, we never would have attempted to do this. And it's because we understood where that journey was going. It just wasn't indoor farming. It was how do we get more out of indoor farming. So we opened up the door of not only how you do indoor farming, it was about how we utilize AMRs, vision technology. How do we link this into MES systems so you can have less personnel, less assets in that building to actually bring it to fruition? No pun intended.
Thank you. So you touched upon this as well. So you also say or see, that LLMs probably will not be the future in all the areas, so to say, right? So where do you see the AI journey or the AI transformation moving forward within the next 5 years? Will there be any substantial change there?
Oh yeah, there's going to be, there's AI disruption all over the place. I mean, look at what's happened to the marketing collateral situation. Is today we're releasing marketing collateral without even having a product before us. I'll be showing that in a video today where we see an automobile in the desert. It's not even been developed yet. So there will be a ton of innovation. There'll be a ton of disruption. There's really two areas, probably three areas I would concentrate. User experience, everyone's talking about it. If you take a step back and look what's happened over the 4 to 5 years, we have all at one point in our life been very frustrated being online, trying to follow an online web process. Because they are so trimmed, and I get the feeling those solutions weren't sold to help me out. They were sold to the enterprise to lower their costs. And I'm paying for it by being a little bit off center from that center process. And it's very frustrating. And this happens again and again, not only for a customer base, but an employee base. And I can only imagine the salesperson who came in and said, you can do so much less with these assets if you utilize our solution set. I think going forward, we're going to be in a situation where we can simulate customer or experiences, and then the solution itself can then adapt to it. So that's one way it's going, is the user experience, and we're seeing this today with Copilot. In my dynamic CRM solution, it is helping me. I can say today that on the right panel, that Copilot is for me a huge advantage. It brings me the data to help me prepare for that next customer meeting. You mentioned LLMs, losing the L. There's all kinds of levers that are going to change this. Open source. Technology giants can't be monolithic. There are so many foundation players, models out there, that it's just the whole industry is going to go a little bit to a niche. It will lower our cost. It will enable easier, more effective. For me, it could be an avatar or maybe just a chat bot, but it will enable me at the specific use case level to be more efficient, which is going to change the construct of how LLMs roll out. And third one, and I think I've already made reference to it, is just we can start to utilize synthetic data in Gen AI models. We did an interesting study just to see how far we could get. It was a conveyor belt, nuts and bolts going by with different levels of rust. Can we identify the part, obviously from different angles, sometimes it was turned on its side. Can we identify the part, link it to a part number successfully, also with different lighting and hands? We successfully did that with only 2% of the photos being real. All 98%, the other was dynamically generated photos. If we can do that today, think of what we'll be able to do tomorrow on how customers interact with systems. We won't be needing to track how a customer works. We can utilize simulation and synthetic data to make my experience better because we'll be able to predict how I respond.
Okay, thank you. So
I get excited when it comes to technology. Have you noticed?
Likewise. I mean, that's why we're here, I guess, right? So can you share a few examples of recent projects where you're in particular proud of? You mentioned a few, use cases that you've covered, but maybe, that one or two projects where you say, okay, this is really a huge impact we made also for the customer, right? With regards to savings, with regards to revenue, whatever.
Well, when it comes to Microsoft, we do have 3 MVPs. And considering there's only 3,000, a little over 3,000 in the market today, that's a very good statistic when you think we only have 12,000 individuals. We have over 500 Microsoft certifications and over 250 Azure certifications. So we're pretty healthy along this path. We've done over 1,000 Microsoft solution sets. A lot of the projects we're seeing today are what we call critical services, in the sense that there are so many services available in your marketplace. We have up to 30, I think, listed ourselves, that companies are reassessing how can I utilize these services better. So a lot of our projects, believe it or not, are stepping back, and it's not cloud foundation bringing apps in, it's modernizing what I've already modernized. So we're seeing that second generation. Some of the ones that that I'd like to see or make me most proud is when we utilize innovation in a sense that it's end-to-end. Stihl, S-T-I-H-L, it's a power tool manufacturing company, and they had a challenging problem because there were so many elements. So the first thing we did in Digital Advisors, we broke it down. First was obviously they didn't have 100% availability, and we had to get it to 99.9% availability. It was a partner web shop. The reality was that they couldn't go to 99% because it was just too expensive. So they had to get to 99%, but also be able to handle that's your perfect consume model. So that was a cost element, that's FinOps. The reality, though, there just wasn't enough information. So we redid the entire stack, And now they're in a situation where they have a value chain. It's linked into SAP, it's linked into ServiceNow. They can see a lot more information. So we were able to improve the user experience. In this sense, it was one of their partners by taking a look at that entire chain. And those are the projects that I'm most proud of with SoftServe, is because we can handle the end-to-end. Because if someone comes to us and says, hey, I want to improve availability, we can say, yes, we can do that, but let's get you to an ROI that makes sense.
Yep.
So those are the ones that I think that jump out at me the most. The second one would be Schunk, as a little bit of a commercial. June 11th in Munich, we'll be presenting with Schunk on the Microsoft stage.
Nice.
Come and see us.
Perfect. Thank you. So you're in the consulting business, basically, right? Professional services. Given all the advancements in AI and in general in technology, do you see a shift in the business model? Do you see a shift of, how you actually serve your customers, how you, again, build up your skill set? What's your perspective on that?
I think what we've seen and the projects that are coming across my desk, they're great. We can start at a higher level when it comes to innovation, because people have gone through that first level of cloud foundation move. They understand that if you're not careful, this technology can cost me. So the big switch is what I'm thinking of, or when I sit with a customer, is yes, because we all see these statistics. 75% of companies have to have a strong Gen AI strategy. Blah, blah. In my presentation, I actually pop one up, and it says my opinion, so it's not quoted to anyone. 100% of these 75% of people are worried about ROI, and that's 100% true. That is something that we don't have to have a Gartner find out. Every single individual that is starting, or every single enterprise that's starting a Gen AI service. Now, obviously, we do promote setting up a lab, setting up a standard infrastructure that you can build on. Otherwise, you can't build further. I'm not saying standardize on a solution set. I'm saying standardize on an approach. There will be different foundation models out there. But what we're seeing is that this ROI is taking much more of a forefront. Agile, true agile, is coming in to say, okay, how do I finance that infrastructure, and then how do I build on it? So I think what we're seeing is business finally saying, we need to be more in front of how this project gets rolled out. We don't want to implement a technology. Along the lines of that, and just as one example, we're seeing that in low code left and right.
Yeah.
If you can get a solid low code implementation, a low code approach where you're putting that usability that has to be designed with the business individuals but still have the IT governance in the background. Hey, I need an Active Directory. It's a box, drag it in, done. If you can actually set that up, then you have set up a successful project that's linked business with technology, and then you have that kind of strategic level of this started out with this is the ROI we need to accomplish.
Yes.
You'll see it today when I present our industrial metaverse with Continental. They produced a Contiverse. They said, and we decided together, if we can hit 15% improvement in availability, OEE a lever, if we can't hit that, we missed our goal. That was the start of that project.
Yeah.
So many customers, we don't have to convince them. They're prepared already in their mind to take that step back.
They have the mindset for it. Yeah. Great, thank you. So looking a little bit at the market, at the industry trends. You're in manufacturing space as well. Where do you see major challenges coming up? Not specifically to any technology in general. How is it going? How is the economy going? Where do you see major issues, and also how do you plan to help customers?
Well, I mean, we can always step and take a look at with simulation, we can handle all kinds of fluctuations in the market from value chain and so forth. But I think one of the largest challenges, and everyone is struggling with it, is, and we're dealing with manufacturing sites that are conservative, probably have older technologies. I mean, I still see customers using S5 somatic controllers. We open up a shrink, a cabinet, and I ask, how do you maintain that? And they say, we don't. We hope to God it doesn't drop. Honestly, they say we can change out the modules, but if that CPU drops, we're done. We can't even reprogram it. So we are dealing with a very conservative marketplace for good reasons. If it's running, it needs to produce. That said, cybersecurity is the number one threat right now, and you have to be prepared for that. That's what we're telling every customer out there. It comes with zero trust. It comes with new technologies. Everyone is setting up IIoT solution sets. This is all good stuff. because you need to get to that data.
Yeah.
Along the way, please take a look at your cybersecurity approaches, because if you're hacked, you're done, and your company has definitely a cash flow issue.
Yeah.
I've seen plant sites, and we've worked with plant managers where they really want to have sort of a firewall around that facility in itself. I think that's a good layer, but you have to go 3 or 4 levels deeper. You have to get to zero trust. And I know it's not easy, but find yourself a competent data company that can help you with it.
Good point. And coming back to Gen AI and security, actually, do you see a different approach there as well? Obviously, it gives you a lot of opportunities, like to leverage generative AI. But on the other hand, also, the threat actors can leverage this technologies as well. Is this a topic with your customers already? Is this something
we talk about it.
They are aware of?
We talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
The reality of this situation, though, is you have to work with the end vendor. I mean, if Rockwell, Honeywell, Siemens, those are the operating systems out there today. So, and they're working on it. Don't get me wrong. With OPC servers and OPC communications and Modbus communications, I mean, they are putting those layers in place. MindSphere, now called, I've dropped the name, but the UI Connect, I think they call it. They're working on how we set up layers of security into it. At this point, the feasibility studies is where are your holes would be the best place to start. We can come in, we can give you a feasibility study. What do you have on the network? Where's the holes in your back-end IT security? It is possible. I think the issue is there's so many other concerns right now. We're coming out of COVID. We had a ramp up, we had a ramp down. It sometimes loses intention until the point it doesn't. And that's the moment where you're sitting on a ransom.
Yeah.
You're sitting on hey, we'll give you your system back.
Yeah.
You take out a WinCC monitor. That might be enough to shut down a process line. Really.
Do you have ways, and that's just another question on security piece. Do you have ways to quantify actually the security risk? Is this something you're discussing with customers as well? Because in the end, it needs investment, and everyone will say, yes, we need security, but how do you quantify it? How do you actually prove?
It starts with penetration testing. We have an entire division that works only on penetration testing. How can we get in? We know the hacks, we know the ways in.
Yeah.
And then it's basically a little bit of segmentation. Hey, if something goes down, how can we get it back up? How can we relaunch? So it really depends on what you have on your factory floor.
Yeah.
You really have to do a study. What's on that factory floor? My hope is that the industry gets to a point where we can simulate that. I haven't seen anything along those lines. I haven't seen a model or a foundation that says, okay, we're going to try to start to simulate that. That said, we're getting there because the third step in our digital first strategy, first is visualization. Second is simulation, and we'll be talking about simulate first today most of the time, only because we needed to drill down into an example. And the third is virtualization. And we're seeing that with Siemens right now. They're trying to virtualize. It's starting. The moment that gets more mature, we can then start simulating how we can hack in.
Yeah.
And at that moment in time, and we're only about 2 to 3 years out, at that moment in time, I think we're going to have much more secure systems. But we are a little bit dependent on the ability for us to virtualize a Somatic controller, a Rockwell 5, whatever is on the market today.
What's the technology you're most excited about that is upcoming, that it's just, around the corner? Or the concept?
Most of my projects, I can answer that with most of my projects right now are critical service. I made reference to it before. It's the renewing our interest in how we utilize cloud better. Cloud as an innovation is obviously the trend. I'll be saying it today. When you go down the Omniverse route, you are going to need an innovation center, and really the cloud is the only place you should be doing that based on the consume, the performance, and so forth. I do have the most fun, I have to admit, and I'm not just saying that because I've been invited to speak here today. I do enjoy the simulations, the digital twins, and the Omniverses. I really have to say that just because we have so much flexibility. I know that if a model doesn't work out of the box with Omniverse, there are other foundational models, ANSYS, Blender, and there's all kinds of other research out there that might get us back in, and then we can go back to the foundation and the fabric. Yeah. That said, most of my business right now is critical services with Omniverse ramping up quite fast. I mean, we're over 50 projects right now last year.
Impressive. So wrapping up, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience about SoftServe, about how customers should behave, should move forward, what should they look out for? Is there anything you would like to share?
I made reference to it before, and I think this is, I don't want to say it's common sense, and I think most enterprises know this already. Don't buy technology for technology's sake. No. You invest in technology to make that next step. If you can identify the ROI or what I want to accomplish on a business sense, it might not be worth going down that path. Mm-hmm. The second thing is don't put and this is, again, it's common sense, but don't put yourself in a corner. I sit across from customers that said, hey, we have this older MES solution off the shelf. I can't get to the domain model. So I think over time, people have realized that if you can't get to that data, you'll never be able to monetize it. And that's a huge trend right now, right? I mean, if we can't get on that trend of monetizing our data, if data is not democratized, we are going to have a challenge. So really, it's just use the common sense. Don't invest in innovation for innovation's sake, and watch your data. A good question to ask yourself, or a good study to start, how many of your data engineers and data scientists are doing ETL? Those are expensive people to be creating Excels. Mm. And if you have a majority of those individuals working on that, that's your first point, because it's an easy ROI. It's the best place to start.
Great. Thanks a lot for sharing, for the insights.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Talking to you.